Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's Talk Jets Radio. Kevin Sirkin here. I was just on Twitter a little while ago reading some fun debates going on between Tyson Roush on the Let's Talk Jets Radio account and one of our good callers, Dan and Howard Beach. So I just wanted to chime in with my 2 cents because it seems like a lot of fans are on either one of these two sides, whether you're with Tyson agreeing that the Jets have way too many holes to be able to patch it up in one offseason and compete and possibly even make the playoffs in 2020, or you're on Dan's side where you think that the Jets roster does have some talent, and if Joe Douglas does his job, the Jets could be a playoff team this year. And I'll say this, I agree with Tyson that, yeah, we have a lot of holes, and there are a lot of holes at premium spots. You're talking about 3 to 4 offensive linemen, 2 cornerbacks, an edge rusher, possibly 2 if you lose Jordan Jenkins, at least 2 receivers, maybe 3 if you lose Robbie Anderson. You need a lot of guys at a lot of premium spots. That's a fact. Now, I also agree with Dan that this roster does have some talent that doesn't really get talked about. CJ Mosley, obviously, because he was injured last year. Same thing with Chris Herndon. I think Jamal Adams and Le'Veon Bell. I mean, those are elite players. I don't care that people like to talk about those guys and even CJ Mosley not being impact players or impact spots. Like the Ravens with Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, safety and inside linebacker. They anchored that defense for how many years and won a Super Bowl? So again, you can say all you want that they're not at impact spots or premium positions, yet the way they play impacts the game, period. So I think there's talent on this team. You have other guys you can point to, Jamison Crowder. I think Quinnen Williams is going to step up, now that he's got his rookie year behind him. And I think they do have some other talent on that defensive line that's making next to nothing. Guys like Kyle Phillips, Fatukasi, Nathan Shepard. I think Jordan Jenkins is a good outside linebacker worth keeping around. If you can add a nice edge rusher opposite him, probably won't happen this offseason. But I think there is talent, and Joe Douglas is going to have some resources to add to the offensive side of the ball. There are rumors right now in Pro Football Focus that, or I think it was Pro Football Talk, that Jack Conklin plans to sign with the Jets. Again, I know it's still 18 days away, so I don't want to go crazy about rumors. Agents like to float things out there to drive up the price. But, whether or not Joe Douglas does his job, I think if he does, this roster, talent-wise, should be competing for a playoff spot. Now, whether or not that actually happens is a different story because of the head coach. And that's what I think is not being talked about enough, is that the reason we need all of these premium players to hit at these premium spots is because Adam Gase cannot coach less and make it more. In fact, more often than not throughout his 4 years as a head coach, he's had more and made it less, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So you're talking about guys like Jarvis Landry, who's been elite elsewhere, Le'Veon Bell, who was elite elsewhere before he came to Gase, Ryan Tannehill, who's done a great job away from him. Like all these guys, and there's a constant blame game, or injuries become the blame. Like, I don't have any belief in Adam Gase without having elite talent everywhere to get the job done. And so that's why I think the conversation has kind of shifted to the Jets need to have all of these stars at almost every spot if they want to make the playoffs, because Adam Gase is not going to get it done with less. And, just looking around the league, like the San Francisco 49ers, they had the same record as the Jets last year. They picked second, we picked third. They got Bosa, we got Quinnen Williams, and they're in the Super Bowl now because Kyle Shanahan can coach a young quarterback like Garoppolo and get the most out of him. Lamar Jackson was picked well ahead of Sam Darnold, had a lot more questions than Sam, yet he fell into the right system with a great head coach and some playmakers around him and a good offensive line, and he's an MVP. Pat Mahomes, not a great offensive line in front of him, but year 2 with a great head coach, MVP. Year 3, he wins a Super Bowl. That is what a guy like Andy Reid can do. When you also have some playmakers as well, like a Tyreek Hill and a Kelsey. Like, to me, the Jets do have some playmakers, but we don't know how any of these guys truly can play when you went from a bad head coach and a bad offensive coordinator with Todd Bowles and Jeremy Bates to an even worse head coach and a worse offensive coordinator with Adam Gase and Dowell Loggins. So how do you accurately judge the talent on this roster when you don't have the right guys in place to put them in position to succeed? So again, that's why I think this whole conversation has shifted to the Jets needing so many impact players instead of, all right, maybe we just need a couple impact players that will allow the guys that are already here to thrive. That, if they had the right coaching, I think that would be the reality that we're talking about. Instead, we're talking about so many holes that we need to fix to give Adam Gase what he needs to succeed. And that's why I keep saying offensive line and wide receiver has to be the priority more than edge, more than cornerback, because this year You need to find out about Adam Gase. There needs to be no excuses at all whatsoever for the offense not producing or for Sam not taking a huge leap in year 3. I don't want Adam Gase to be allowed to point the finger at Sam and say, oh, we need a new quarterback. I don't want Adam Gase to be able to point the finger anywhere and say, oh, I didn't have this or I didn't have that, and that's why I didn't get the job done this year. There's no excuses. You've been a head coach for 4 years. You've been in the division for 4 years. You're now going to have some continuity that everyone keeps talking about. The Jets beat are, blowing that up. All right, we finally have continuity. We have all the same coaching staff in place, even though they were awful last year. All right, so let's see some results. Joe Douglas, get him the pieces to work with, and let's find out. But I just don't think Adam Gase is capable of getting it done. I don't think he's the right coach to mold the talent that we have here. And yes, I do believe the Jets have some talent. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to find out just how much until Adam Gase is gone. But let's hope for the best, and I'll talk to you guys soon.